In this video, I'm bringing you yet another epic product review. This time I am reviewing the Elite Male Pump. One of the Elite. This is one of the most advanced electronic pumps. This is like up there, okay? Now you already know how I feel about my most favorite electric pump of all time, which is the DP4000. So I'm gonna go ahead and compare it with that. I'll do a product overview. Also compare it with like the more basic, like the LeLuv electric pump, and why it just doesn't compare. Like that sort of, let's just say that's like a Toyota compared to like a Ferrari, right? Like this just doesn't compare. Where I call the DP4000 the Bugatti.
Well, what color is your Bugatti?
Right, check out this video where I reviewed the DP4000. So this is like a whole nother field, whole nother league of electric pumps. And yeah, it's just not comparable with something like the LeLuv electric pump. And if you doubt me,
not even close.
I'll show you why in a second. So
Why?
Yeah, so before we keep going and you like this video, don't forget to hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. It's a small thing for you, but for me it means a lot. It really helps me going, it helps me stay motivated. If you want to consult with me, hit up my Patreon, the link is down below. And without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. First, let's do a bit of a product overview. This is the Elite Male Pump. This is that. Full disclosure, this was actually sent to me for free by whoever runs the Elite Male training. Thank you very much. I really enjoyed this pump, but I'll get into the review in a second. So this is the Elite Pump V2. It costs $244. So compare that with the LeLuv Magna Pro, which is $89.95. Now I don't think, like I said, like I mentioned in the intro, I don't think this is even comparable to the top of the line electric pumps such as the Elite Pump Pro or the DP4000, which is my favorite pump of all time. I call it the Bugatti of pumps. So that's $498. Check out the review of the DP4000 that I put. I'll put the link in the description. Yeah, so that's $244. The LeLuv is $89.95, but that's like comparing a Honda to a Ferrari. And then like the best one so far is the $498, which is the DP4000. So I'll go ahead and compare all of them. Also interesting to note that this Elite Male training, I don't think they're the manufacturers of the actual pump, because it also is being sold by Basim, which looks like the exact same model here in $297. So just, you know, just kind of interesting. Now I think this might include the, okay, without the cylinder it's $249. So they're essentially the same price, you know. So at that point you might want to look into shipping. I'm not sure, I don't know. I have the one that I got from Elite Male Training. That's the one that was sent for me for free. That's the one that I am reviewing. So I cannot attest to the Basim's version. But to me, they look the same, but I'm just not sure. I just don't know who the actual manufacturer is. So that's something to note. But you can get it for $244 or... yeah, so you can get it for $244. So anyway, so it comes with this display. So it comes with basically 3 memory sets, which I'll show you in a second. You can increase the pumping pressure here. So it's all display. You don't, unlike the DP4000, with the DP4000, you actually need a computer to program it, but you can save the programming to the pump itself. However, due to some, like, check out that video where I reviewed the DP4000, you essentially need a computer to actually use this. So just kind of FYI, I pump right in front of my computer, so you know, perfect opportunity for me to watch some corn, and I'll use that pump. And of course, with something like the LeLuv Magna Pro, you don't need anything. You don't need anything as well. Everything is sort of in the display, which, you know, in one way it's good because, you know, it's much easier. You don't need to set up a computer. And by the way, you need like a Windows computer. So if you're using like a Mac or whatever, something like that, I use my gaming computer, which is why I record my videos also. So it's perfectly fine. So I just sit here in front of my 4K TV here display where I can watch like corn as I do this. Now keep in mind, I watch corn, but I don't finish. Like I etch and I use it for pumping, but I don't finish. I only finish like on you know, maybe 2 or 3 times a week at most, or when my girl's around, I'll finish with her help. So in any case, yeah, so check out the pumping guide, which I'll go ahead and put in the description for my whole pumping tutorial, which actually I'll touch on it here, which I'll go ahead and tell you how to set up that advanced pumping routine here with the Elite Pump. So I'll go ahead and show you that. So anyways, yeah, so you can have a start, a pause. You can set like the total time. You can set how much you're going to apply tension for, so how many seconds, and then you're gonna set how much will the release time be. So the release time is actually super interesting. The release time is super interesting. So it says here, during the pause cycle, pressure will drop to 0 or about 5 inches of mercury. So I like to, when on my warm-up set, I like to drop it off to 0. I wish it could be like 2 or something, where, and I'll go through that in review what I wish it could be better. But this is great. So once you, you can basically use this for my advanced pumping guide. So basically if it's outline, it'll set the minimum to 5 inches of mercury. And if it's not outline, it'll be set to 0. So I really like this having like a minimum, right? So that way when you release the pressure, or rather when it automatically releases the pressure, it stays at the minimum. It really helps after your warm-up set to maintain that erection. At no point should you be coming out of the tube. So this is super helpful. I really love this. This is a core feature that the Magna Pro does not have. You cannot set a floor. You cannot have long sessions where you can actually program the duration of how long you're going to be under cycle, the duration of how long you'll be off pressure, and the minimum. So you with this you can set up the maximum and the minimum and the durations for both. Perfect. Yeah. So again, the only thing is I wish that I could program instead of 0 where I could say like 2. Like I can with the DP4000, and that's probably one of the few features why I still think the DP4000 is still a little bit better. So I'll go into that a little bit more in a second. So super helpful. I really like these options. So in any case, yeah, so this is a brief product overview. Again, I got this for free, so I didn't have to pay shipping or anything like that, but I would gladly pay. I bought the DP4000, so if this ever, if for example the DP4000 didn't exist, or I just didn't have the budget, but I had the budget for the Elite pump, the Elite pump is perfectly fine. I think it's a good replacement for something like the DP4000. Again, if you don't have a Windows machine, you don't want to deal with the computer, or you just don't have like kind of budget, this is probably like the second best. If I'm ranking them for sure, so if I'm ranking them right now, the Magna Pro would be third, the Elite pump would be second, and the DP4000 would still be first. So it's still a solid. Yeah, so anyways, that's a product overview and a bit of a spoiler alert for my final ranking. So show you an actual deep review into it, and then I'll go ahead and show you how to actually use it for my advanced routine. So let's go ahead and show you that. All right, so let's go ahead and start with unboxing. So let's go ahead and open it. Now I've been using this, so this is not like a true unboxing. It's not fresh for me, but this is how I store it. So that's what this comes with, this little box. So a square. Let's go ahead and measure it actually. Yeah, so the box is a square. So it is 7.5 inches by about 7.5 inches or so. Right, because it has expanded a little bit here, but yeah, it's a square, so kind of a little bit bulky. Anyway, so let's go ahead and do an unboxing. So it comes with this little foaming pad here. So inside you have one of these hoses, very heavy duty. One side, I believe I put this together, so it has the fitting separately. I put it together, so I just put the fitting in the hose, and one open side. So you want one with the fitting. This goes into the cylinder, and this goes into the actual pump. Okay. Then you have the power cord, so super basic. It's just two prongs, and then this little side goes to the pump itself. So let's go ahead and take it out. So this is what's the pump itself. So I'll look at that in a second. And then inside there's some extra hoses. So there's 2 hoses, some of this another fitting here, an extra fitting. These little rings, I'm not exactly sure what the rings are for, to be perfectly honest. Then this little, I think stickers, these are for if you wanted to slide around or not slide around. I'm not sure, I didn't use those. Yeah, so anyways, yeah. These are pretty long, just a couple extra hoses. I don't use them, but I store them just in case. So this is the pump itself, somewhat bulky, right? So you can tell here. So it comes with this logo here. It has a display, has this little pressure release, so that when you have it on, you can actually release it. And now in the back, this is where the hose goes in. The other side of the hose goes to the cylinder, and then this is where the power goes in, the power cord, and then this is the power switch. So super basic. So let's go ahead and set it up. So this is the initial setup. So first, you can connect the hose. So the open part goes here into this hole here. Okay, there. So that's gonna go to the cylinder, and then the other part is gonna go to the power. So just connect that, the power. Okay, and I have like a little extension cord here, ready to go. So there you go. All right, so this is it. Then you can basically go ahead and turn it on. That's what it looks like. So it has this little protective screen. Just go ahead and take that off here. Now I'll do a little bit of a review as to all the settings. So it has three settings here. So this is 3 programs that you can use. So you basically can program it, and then you can store it here. And like as I mentioned in the intro or before, if it's highlighted, it'll basically determine the minimum of the vacuum. It has a start put, so we start super quiet. It's actually very quiet. It's much more quiet than the DP4000, but yeah, you can hear the start. and then you can hear the pause. You can set the centimeters of mercury. So here's the centimeter of mercuries. Okay, you can set that. You can set your working time, your total working time, how much time you're going to be under vacuum, and how long will the release be. So anyways, check out the manual for more details as to how you actually configure the memory. The fourth one, basically, if you want to run all three of the saved routines at once. Okay, now that would be great. So but anyway, so that's a bit of a review of an overview as to how, you know, the different controls of the pump. You have the release valve here, so you can use that to release it. But if you hit pause, it basically releases the pressure as well. Next, I'll show you like a brief overview as to how to actually use it. So I like to start like at 0. You know, I've started the first preset. So this is at 10 centimeters of mercury, which is about 4 inches of mercury. So just Google it, cmHg to inHg converter. I'll put a link in the description to help you to a website that helps you do that. So in any case, right away, you know, the things I want to mention is I really wish that there's a way to toggle between cmHg and inHg. So that's the one thing about the LeLuv Magna Pro, which actually you can actually do that, toggle between the, I believe it's kPa and inches of mercury. So this is centimeters of mercury. I like centimeters. It's great because you can be a little bit more granular as to what the pressure you want to use. I really wish that I could just use inches of mercury. That's what I'm used to. That's what I think most people are used to. I don't understand why people go with centimeters or kPa or whatever. Just go inches of mercury and then have something, or at least be able to toggle it, right? So that's a big one. So we can set the working set. So, you know, so let's say I want to do 10 minutes. So I'll just go here and click this to 10 minutes. And then just for the sake of this demo, I'll go ahead and put like 10 minutes to be under pressure, 10 seconds, sorry, to be under pressure. Okay. And then 2 seconds to release. So go ahead, start, and I'll just hold it here. There, it's on 10 centimeters, right? And you see the little countdown here. There's a little timer countdown, which is great. That's something that's missing from the Magna Pro, the LeLuv one. So let's go ahead. It's gonna go ahead and do the 10 seconds of pressure after 10 seconds. So keep in mind here that while this is highlighted, it's actually not going to go all the way to 0. So it's essentially the way that it's configured here, it's actually not going to release anything. So in order for you to go, which is fine for a warm-up, so let's say that you want to go a little bit more. So let's say that you want to do 20 centimeters of mercury, which is about 8 inches of mercury. So notice there it's going to go to 20, right? It's going to hold it. Yeah, it's going to go ahead and hold it for 10 seconds, and then it's going to release. And then it goes back up. Okay, we can make this a little bit longer. So let's say to hold that for 5 seconds, to release for 5 seconds. So there it's going to, when the pressure. So another thing that I wish it would do is it should show you the pressure here when it goes down, right? Like when it goes down, it should show you. So right now it shows you on this little bar, like you can see the bar here, but the number doesn't change. So that's kind of a little bit of a bug or a quirk. Really, that should be fixed so that it actually goes down. You can see the bar, the bar here, or whatever this is called, like the kind of looks like speedometer in a car. That goes down, but the actual number doesn't. So you can see they're cycling. So that's kind of, but you know, it works. Like that's just a little bit of a quirk. It holds for the amount of time. So here it holds for like the 10 seconds that I've set it up was. Then it releases for 2 seconds. And again, if you're under 5 inches of mercury, right, then it's not going to, this is highlighted. It's not going to release at all. Now, if it's not highlighted, let's say that I want to, you know, hold for 10 seconds, then it goes all the way to 0. So, and then it goes back up. So notice here that if this is highlighted or not really matters. I do not like it when it goes all the way to 0. I'd rather like it stay the same, but I do like it when it's at high pressure. So it's actually perfect for my routine, my advanced routine. I'll go and show you that advanced routine in a little bit and how to actually do it with the pump. But first, let's go actually and do a brief comparison with the other products, starting with the LeLuv Magna Pro, how it compares with that product. All right, so let's go ahead and compare with the LeLuv one. So with the LeLuv, yeah, it's obviously smaller, more ergonomic. Like you can use, this is my travel one. Like I'm not gonna take this when I travel. The cool thing about the LeLuv one is you can toggle. So if you can toggle between inches. So if I cover here, right, it goes and it toggles between inches of mercury. This one's millimeters of mercury. Okay, yeah. So this one has programs. So the worst part about this is that the LeLuv one is that when you're putting it on, you can't set like a maximum, right? So let's say that I want my maximum to be 3 inches of mercury. I cannot just set that and then like put it on. Like I can easily set that here, obviously. Like I can set, I want the maximum to be 3. centimeters of mercury. Sorry, 10, right? Because that's, again, this should have inches of mercury. Yeah, and that's going to be the maximum. So that's perfect for application of the cylinder. So you put on the cylinder, you put it on. That's great. You can't really do that with this. And then once you have it on, you have a routine going. You cannot set a maximum and then a minimum. Right, so that's the killer feature, is that you have a maximum and a minimum. The minimum here, obviously, is when you have it highlighted, right, will be 5. It's either like if you're less than 5, it'll be, it won't release. But if it's more than 5, then the minimum will be 5. And if you have it unchecked, highlighted, then the minimum will be 0. So I still wish that this was more flexible, where I could actually set my minimum. I think that's one thing that it's missing. But it already has that feature where when it's highlighted, at least I know the minimum will be 5, and then the maximum I can set. So this one you can neither set, at least in manual, you cannot neither set the minimum nor the maximum, right? It's not really, it's good. Like, it holds the pressure, and that's really all it really does. Great, because you don't have to be using the hand one to hold the pressure, but it's still problematic because it's missing those key features. Okay, now when it comes to smart mode, so I'll go ahead and put the manual on, right, so we can see how the automatic or smart mode, I guess, is called for the LeLuv Magna Pro, right? So there's different modes. So essentially you can set the maximum, and then it's going to maintain that level for X amount of seconds, and then cycle and release, and then release the air. So there is really a lot of things that are missing here. So number one, there is no timer. Like, you cannot even see, there's no timer for you to see the, how long you've been doing a set. And you have to like manually keep track of that with your phone or something like that. You cannot set the minimum, but you can set the maximum, which is great here, right? So I want to set the maximum and then the minimum. So let's say that I want to do 5. I want to put it on, I'll set smart mode. I'll put on smart mode, and then like I'm putting it on, so it'll go up to that value and then maintain it for, depending on how much you want to hold it for. Yeah, so for example, if you want to put it on, you might want to do intelligent mode 5, right? Which will go to that maximum level, maintain that vacuum for 1 minute, and then it's going to release. And release, it means 0. So that's another big problem, right? It's that it won't, you cannot set like the minimum. So release for sure always will be 0. So even if you're doing like let's say like I'm doing 10 inches of mercury, it'll just release back to 0 for even if it's just for 1 second, and then go back up, which is, no, I don't want to lose like the whole erection. Like if I set all the way to 0, like you're potentially going to lose your erection, and it's just not optimal. Yeah, so anyway, so that's kind of like the problem. So I think the LeLuv Magna Pro, if it added some timer and it was able to to set a minimum and a little bit more flexible ways of setting your max minimum, would be great, because it's just handheld and it's so much easier. Like, you can just you would have everything. But anyways, that's why you have the power of something like this, where you can have a lot more flexibility, right? So that's how it compares with the LeLuv Magna Pro. So it's, the LeLuv Magna Pro is just lacking. It's great. It's definitely a big step up for the handheld one, the handheld one where you can just hold it, but it's missing those key features when compared to like a true like programmable or advanced vacuum pump, such as this one, the Elite Male one. So next, let's compare it with my my baby, which is the DP4000, and let's see how it compares with that. Next, I'll compare with the DP4000, and I'll show you exactly why the DP4000 is still ultimately better, right? Number one, so I'll go ahead and start setting it up, right? So I have my tube. So the thing is here is that I have this little mark here because one side goes to the cylinder, the other one goes to the pump. They're a little bit slightly different fitting sizes, so that took a little while to figure out, but it works regardless. Yeah, already here, what's better is that the fitting that goes into it requires a fitting, right? Like here, to put the hose into the pump, I have to kind of like struggle with it. Like, I have to like put it in. It's just not elegant, right? Like, this big old thing here, and then I have to put it in. It's in the back also, so that means that the cable, the hose has to loop around, right? Has to loop around. It should be in the front. Number one, it should be in the front, and it should be like this, where I can just use a fitting, and it should be the exact same size, so that I can, doesn't matter like what side I put it in. So anyways, yeah, so this is already way more ergonomic, right? This goes to the front, okay? Then it has the power, okay, here. So then I connect the power to the back, and then the obviously goes into the outlet, okay? And then you need the USB cable. So go ahead and connect this. I'll go ahead and decide this. I think this should be in the back, but it's fine. It's not like a big deal. Doesn't matter. Okay, and then you just turn it on. So this is a little bit older. Yeah, so it's connected, and then I'm gonna go ahead and launch the application, and I'll go ahead and share it with you guys here. and then you'll see and compare it. This is the application. You have to run Windows. And here's where you can actually program the entire thing, right? So again, so you can set the duration, right? Obviously the duration is the sum of all these steps. And I go a little bit deeper in my DP4000 video. I'm just kind of doing a comparison here, and then you can have multiple steps. So let's say that I'm putting it on. So usually what I'll do is I'll start like this, right? So I literally only have 2 steps, right? So the step 1, which is my minimum, which I can program my minimum, which is 2 seconds. I can program my duration. Then I can program that I'm putting it on. I use just 3 inches of mercury to put it on, and then I'll put that to 30 seconds. So my warm up, just 30 seconds, cycles. So I'll go ahead and go through my routine in a second, which I go into much greater detail in my pumping guide video, which I'll put in the description below. Yeah. So anyways, yeah, and then everything else skip. Now what this is lacking is a way through sort of, let's say that I want to loop these. So I want to loop this for say 10 minutes. And then I want to move to the next one. And then if you want to do like my routine, it's a total of 40 minutes, right? That's great, but you can't really like program that in, unfortunately. But it has those key elements, which is like if you put start, right? It has the elapsed time, and then it shows you the actual vacuum, and then you have a threshold, so you can go like, you can just stay to that pressure. But I like to have the threshold to be either above or below 2 inches of mercury. That was really good to me. You can also just set like 1, right? The lower you get, like the noisier it is, to be quite honest. I think it struggles a little bit to sort of maintain. I think that one, the edge has to go to the Elite Male one for how steady it holds the pressure, whereas this can sort of fluctuate a little bit. But if you leave that threshold there to 2, it's perfectly fine. It really doesn't fluctuate that much. So it has the elapsed time, okay, and then the level as it cycles through it. So yeah, so already, like, I would say that just in terms of flexibility, the DP4000 does have the edge. Like, you have way more power to control it. And I would love to like make a custom program, like a UI for the DP4000, where I can actually build loops, like I mentioned, and sets. So I can actually like, hey, do this set for 10 minutes, then do the next set for 10 minutes, and the next set for 10 minutes. As of now, I have to like manually kind of fiddle with it. So what I'll do is, then I want to do 10 minutes of that. Then I'll have to stop and then immediately hit play. And I do to my next part of my set, and then I have to manually, okay, like I set this to 5, and then I'll set this to 8. And then I'll set this to 6. I have to do this while I have it on, but of course it's great because I have my hands free. And I'll stop and then immediately hit start, and that does the next part of the set. So now it's gonna do that. So I wish there was a way where I can actually like kind of say like loop this, then loop this, then loop this, like loop specific steps. That would be great. That would be like my ideal pump. But in any case, I still prefer the DP4000, not because it's a little bit more smaller, it's a little bit more ergonomic, easier. Like this is just more elegant, like the way you use it, and it provides a little bit more flexibility. It provides a little bit more flexibility with the minimum. Literally, like, if for my personal routine, only difference between the two, obviously, besides like the how ergonomic it is and all that, like the thing at the front, and having inches of mercury, which is a big deal. Like, having inches of mercury is a big deal. Okay, like the Elite Male pump, if it wants to go to the next level, it needs to have inches of mercury. Being able to set my minimum however I want it, not some predefined. Now, the Elite Male one is a step up from the LeLuv one, which doesn't let you define a minimum. It's a step up because at least it has where it knows like, hey, you may not want to go all the way to 0. Like the LeLuv one doesn't even not acknowledge that you may want to go all the way to 0. And then this one, with the DP one, I can actually program my minimum and my maximum and my duration. That's absolutely killer. Yeah, so with that being said, I'll go ahead and show you then how you can actually use the Elite Male one to go through my advanced. Next, I want to talk to you about how you do my advanced routine. So if you watched my pumping guide video, which was actually quite popular, and I put a lot of work into it, I think it's definitely one of my best videos to date. Got a lot of good feedback on it, so check it out. But this is my advanced routine where you need a true automatic pump, not like the LeLuv Magna Pro. As great as it is, it's not a true automatic pump, okay? Because of the features I already went through. But whether you have the DP4000 or the Elite Male pump, you can absolutely do this routine. So you essentially cycle between 3 and 5 inches of mercury for 2 in 30 seconds. That's a total of 5 minutes. Then another set of 5 minutes, you know, where your floor is 3 inches of mercury and your max is your ceiling, you're 7 inches of mercury, right? And then your true working set, right, is you do for 10 minutes where your floor is 5 inches of mercury and your ceiling is 8 inches of mercury. You cycle that and you do that for, you know, 2 seconds and then 60 seconds, and then you do that 5 inches of mercury is your floor, then 9 inches of mercury is your ceiling. So that's 2 seconds for your floor, 60 seconds for your ceiling, 5 inches, and then the last 10 minutes is 5 inches of mercury is your floor for 2 seconds, then you cycle that 10 inches of mercury for 60 seconds. So these are sets, right? Each set there's 5 minutes, then 5 minutes. These are the warming. This is the warming sets, and then you have the 10-minute set of 8 inches of mercury, and then 10-minute set of 9 inches of mercury, and then another 10-minute set of 10 inches of mercury. And this, you can actually easily do this. Now, unfortunately, and I'll leave that on the screen right now. Now I'll show you essentially how to program this in. I tried whichever way I could to make it one continuous sort of session, but it really didn't work. Yeah, the great thing is that you can actually, and if you can get it to work, that's great. This is how I do it, because I just sort of couldn't figure out, because, well, the main thing now that I remember is you can only have 3 presets, right? And if you notice it, so essentially you can have 3 pre-programmed sets. Now, if you notice, my setup here is I actually have 5 sets that I need. I would need to program 5 sets, and I can't do that, right? So I run out of memory. Here's the number of sets that I can store. So I can only store 3. So unfortunately, I just cannot pre-program. It would be amazing if I could sort of like store set 1, like warm up set 1, store warm up set 2, working set 1, working set 2, working set 3, and then do it all continuously. And I would literally be hands free. It would be hands free. It's still a little bit different here because, again, with the Elite Meal Pump Pro, the minimum, if you're 5 inches of mercury, if you're set like 5 inches of mercury here, then your minimum will be like either 0 or like it won't release at all. If you're over 5 inches of mercury, your minimum will be either 0 or 5 inches of mercury. So, and I know it's a little complicated, but let me clear up all the confusion and show you exactly how I do it. It's super easy, super simple. It works great. So I essentially set my working time to 40. I just have one pre-program, and I have this already, so I stored this already. So this is my stored settings. Actually, it should be, let's put this to 30 seconds. This is what I have stored. I'm gonna go ahead and store this. So hold this, and it'll store it. So this is my stored memory, and this is all I need to get started. So I'll go ahead and put start. Okay. Now I'll put on the pump, the cylinder. Sorry, I'll put that on. Watch the pumping guide for an actual tutorial. I'm not gonna use a modify. Yeah, I'm not gonna put an analog for a C for a PP, because then it's gonna get demonetized, and yeah, I would make no money. Unfortunately, this is great to have a little bit of ad revenue. So in any case, yeah, so I'm just gonna hold this. Watch that pumping guide for like a full tutorial how to actually you put on the cylinder. So anyways, yeah. So you're gonna do this. You're gonna do this for 5 minutes here. 10 centimeters of mercury is roughly 4 inches of mercury. Okay. And then I like to go to 12 centimeters of mercury for another 5 minutes. So basically, I'm looking at the timer, right? When it gets to 35, I will go up to 10, right? So let's just pretend that it went to 35. I went up to 12. And then let's pretend that time is passing, right? And I'm already like, now it's time to go into my working set. So I'll go ahead and increase the time to 60 seconds. Okay. I'll go ahead and increase the time to 60 seconds. And then I will set this to 8 inches of mercury, which is about 20 centimeters. Okay, 20 centimeters of mercury. So you can see the little calculator that I did there to figure that out. Okay, I'll do that. And here it's going to start cycling essentially. So it's going to cycle between the 8 inches of mercury, and then you see how it went down. And then the 5 inches of mercury. So it's perfect. It's absolutely perfect. It's doing exactly what what my routine says. Then let's pretend time passed a little bit more. Say 10 minutes pass of cycling through that. And then I want to go up to 9. Put 9. So that's 22. So I like to just go 23. Make it a little bit easier. And I'll do that for 10 minutes, just like my pumping guide. So it'll automatically cycle between 5 inches of mercury, release for 2 seconds as per set in the release time. And then it's going to go to 9 inches of mercury, also known as 23 centimeters of mercury, for 60 seconds. It's going to cycle that. So I'm just looking at the working time, this little timer that's there. Okay. And then let's pretend that time passed. Now I'm at my last 10 minutes. and I want to do 10 inches of mercury. It's going to put 25, so I'll go ahead and put 25 or 26. 26 is good. Yeah, so you're basically going to do that. It's going to automatically maintain the vacuum and rotate. Do that for the last 10 minutes, and then it'll stop on its own. So essentially it'll stop on its own, and just hit 0, it'll stop, or you can hit pause, or you can hit the release to release, but pause basically ends the session. And that's it. That's how you use the Elite Male Pump Pro to do my advanced session. So overall, now I'm just gonna give my overall thoughts and opinions on this, and then that was kind of an exhaustive review. So let's do some more thoughts, final thoughts on the product. All right, so overall, like I compared it with the LeLuv Magna Pro. I still use the LeLuv Magna Pro for when I'm traveling. It's great. I compared it with the DP4000, so hopefully this gives you an idea of which one should you get. It's hard for me to say. I personally still use the DP4000, again, because of the ergonomics, the inches of mercury, I can actually set it's a configurable floor, okay? But if they fix the ergonomics, they fixed having inches of mercury, and they had a way to set my floor, that would be amazing. And it would be even more amazing if I could have a better way of managing my memories, right? Instead of maybe having a 3 predefined and then, like having a whole session, like having been able to do more, or even better, like where I can actually have sets, right? Sets that like a 10-minute set, another 10-minute set, another 10-minute set, like a warm-up set or whatever, and then go ahead and do that as a whole session. So it's great. Ultimately, I think you should get it? I think this is a solid option. I think if you want to really do true advanced pumping, this is the minimum that you need for true advanced pulse pumping, as I call it, pulse pumping, or you can call it interval pumping as well. Pulse pumping was from like the old Thunder's place. This actually promotes by going like down and up. It makes sure that you're not releasing like fibrotic signals in your penis, and then also it promotes good erection quality overall. So when I'm done pumping, I maybe not like the first hour or so, but like the next morning I have really good erection quality, or after a few hours I have really good erection quality. So it's really good to maintain your erection quality, especially as you get a little older. So this is the true way to do that pulse pumping or interval pumping as well. So excellent product. I think if you are okay with the things that I showed, and I think this is a little bit more modern. Hopefully they actually update it. Again, I'm not sure who manufactures. I don't know if they can actually make it better. If they do, I think if they can, they would be amazing. So it's your choice ultimately whether you want to use this or the DP4000. I still personally still use the DP4000 because I've used it every single day for years, and because of those small things. But this is a great product. This is an amazing product, so I can definitely recommend this. The price is right. It's cheaper than the DP4000. It has all the features that you need. And then like the lower ergonomic things. I think these are in the future they could probably fix that, but it's great as is as well. So anyways, there you go. That's my full in-depth review of the Elite Male Pump Pro. If you liked it, don't forget to hit that like button, that subscribe button. And anyways, let's go through some final thoughts. And there you go. That was an epic tutorial. This is one of the most advanced pumps out in the market. I don't necessarily know where it comes from or how easy it will be to actually update it. And I think with some key features, I think it will be amazing and potentially can dethrone my DP4000. It's not quite there yet, but it's quite a steep price difference between the DP4000 and the Elite Male. So, I think if you want to save those like $200 or whatever, you can just go with the Elite Male. It's perfectly fine. You may have to do that that centimeters of mercury to inches conversion in your head, or just put like a little sticker, and you're good to go. So if you found that this review helpful, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Which do you prefer? Are you gonna stick with your LeLuv pump? Are you gonna buy something like the Elite Male pump? Or do you think like the DP4000 is the best, as I've always said? So let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit those notifications also, because I have a lot of fire content coming up, including some sex toy reviews on the epic cups and tutorials, and a lot more fire content. So make sure you stay tuned and check out these other videos which may be relevant to you, and you'll see you next time. Peace.